Good morning, everybody. I've got 9:30, so we are set to begin. For those of you who haven't been on a community partner team meeting before, my name's Leslie Whitty. I'm the VP of Communication and Outreach for the South Central Workforce Development Board, and I'm coming to you from death's door this morning. Feeling a little bit under the weather. But I think probably 99% of people on this call are probably feeling the same way or have somebody in their household who's feeling the same way. So, uh, but I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be able to do it even with a scratchy voice. So thank you all very much for joining us. This is the community partner team meeting, and we are getting ready to roll out the big guns this morning. For today, what we have going on, we'll do introductions. It looks like we've got 13 people so far on this call, so that's good number. We're going to talk about job fairs. We're going to be pretty candid and talk about some of the struggles, some of the things that we're trying to really take to the next level, so these events can be as impactful as possible. And we do want this to be an interactive discussion. We've got Jake and Bianca joining us. I'll introduce them in just a moment. But we want conversation. I'll simply be giving Jake and Bianca some talking points, and we do want people to interact with them. It is a partner meeting, so we need everyone working with us. Then I'll give everybody a chance to give announcements. If you have any events, anything that you're wanting to call attention to, we'll give you a chance to do that. And then finally, a preview for March. So we will begin with introductions. I would like everyone to give an introduction, very brief. Your name, who you work for, and describe yourself in one word that starts with the same letter as your first name. So I will begin, and I would ask everyone just to jump in until we get everybody taken care of. So I'm Leslie. As I said, I work for the South Central Workforce Development Board. Typically, an L that would describe me would be lively. I'm not feeling quite lively this morning. I will say lethargic, maybe borderline listless. But those are a few L's. So, next person, let's go. Let's get some energy.
I'll
Right,
do
I'll
it.
Am I up?
throw it
Oh,
to, yeah,
sorry.
go ahead, go ahead.
You want me to go? I'll go.
Right.
My name is Jake. I'm a business service representative. You'll hear more about that in a minute. Everybody says I'm the most jovial person they've ever met. So
Yes, very, very
run with
good.
that, Bianca.
My name is Bianca, and I work with Career Team, and I would say bashful.
Until we get to know you. Maybe that's it. All right, thank you guys.
All right. My name is Rhett Faust. I'm with Veterans Upward Bound. I guess I would say rambunctious.
Rambunctious. All right. Well, good to have you. Good to have you. Thank you for joining. All right, next person.
Hey, I'm Frank Garabato. I'm the one-stop operator at the Kentucky Career Center, and everybody calls me a friend.
Yes, that's very good. Very good. Frank is a friend. Glad to have you, Frank.
I'm Amy. Amy Smith Thomas here, Butler County Adult Ed. I teach here and I teach corrections at our jail. I wish my name started with an H. I would choose happy, but it doesn't. So I'm going to choose accountability because I hold my students accountable for the things they do, especially at the jail.
Very good. I would add awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. I would add, wouldn't you all say Amy was awesome?
I'm crazy.
That's good. All
Thank you.
right. Thank you, Amy. All right, next person.
Laura. Laugh. I love my laugh.
Yes, yes. Laura is she's always laughing, always upbeat, and yes, very positive impact on other people. So we are thrilled that you were joining us this morning. Thank you so much. All right, next person, Tony. What about you?
My name is Tony. I work with the career team. I am the navigator for South Central and tenacious.
Ooh, that's good. That's a good
What I
one.
believe.
That's a good one. Yes, thank you, Tony. Very good. I like it. All right. Are we missing anybody?
Priscilla Schwartz with Passport by Molina Healthcare, and I am picky, particular, and peculiar, all rolled up in one. I'm picky about everything I eat. I'm picky about my house. Don't leave the house without spraying that good Clorox this time of year in every sink. So
Oh, yes. Dang. Dang. Very good. Priscilla coming in with 3. She's bringing the trifecta this morning. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. All right.
Adam
Anybody else?
at the International Center. I would say I'm adaptable. I have to adapt to a lot of situations at any point in time, especially these days. So I would say
Yes.
adaptable.
Yes.
Adam,
Very good. Very good. Very good. Yes. Happy to have you, Adam.
I'll go next. I'm Nikki,
All right.
my CTC, and I'm not very creative. So I'm gonna piggyback off of Priscilla because I know we're a lot alike. She's a little more than I am, but I was gonna say neat.
Neat. Very good. Very neat is a good thing. We like neat. Well, thank you.
She's
Thank you
not,
so
she-
much.
she's nice too.
Nice. That's another good one. Yes, very good. Denise, so good to see you.
Good morning. I'm sorry I've missed the last few.
Well,
I
we,
guess I'll
we
go
missed
with,
your sweet face.
thank you. And I'm going to go with dedicated, even though I've missed the last few meetings. I am very dedicated to about everything I try to do.
Oh my goodness, yes. And if you know Denise, you know that is true. She's always doing about 20 different very important things. Yes, no exaggeration there. Thank you. So glad you could be here, Denise. Thank you. Is there anyone else? I can only see just a few people in this window.
Hey, Heath from Community Action, and I'm gonna go with Heartfelt for H.
Aw, hey, very good. Yes, so good to see you. So good to see you. Very good to have you here. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes.
We got a good crowd.
Can you hear me?
Yes, is that Shannon?
Okay, this is Shannon, and I would say solver because I'm youth career coach, and many times I have to find very creative solutions for some of the things that I see. But I had to scrape for that. You woke me up this morning. I didn't know that S would be so hard.
It is. It is. Well, thank you, Shannon. Always good to hear your voice.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody else?
Shannon's also a ray of sunshine.
Yes, sunshine.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you, Amy.
Yes, very good. And I'll throw in one more for Heath Ray Hustle, because he's an excellent dancer.
I don't know about that.
I've got you on video. We have a video. We have a video of Heath and I
We need evidence.
dancing. Yeah. Oh, well, you know I can produce it. No problem.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else? We want to make sure everybody is introduced and everybody feels welcome. If you haven't picked up on it already, this is a very informal meeting. We want you to consider yourself, among friends. So that's what our atmosphere is. Anybody else before we move on to the next slide? And I hope everybody appreciated my Lionel Richie because I thought it was funny. The song Hello for all the people that are too young to know that reference, but it's a good one. All right, moving on. Our special guests today, we've got Bianca Wilson and Jake Brown. They are business services team members with Career Team, and thrilled to have both of them. I'm going to see if I can unshare my screen for a second, just so we can see Jake and Bianca better. Okay. Can everybody see each other now? Excellent. Excellent. All right. So Jake and Bianca, welcome. Thrilled to have you guys. And I will tell you, we had a team meeting, I guess it was last week, and we were talking about job fairs, and we had such an excellent discussion. We really started getting into some good discussion about job fairs. And right after the meeting, I asked Jake and Bianca, hey, would you all come on to the community partner team meeting? Because I really think this is a good discussion, and I would like to see it played out again, with a different audience, so we can get even more feedback. And thankfully they agreed to do that. So again, very happy to have you guys. And I will start by saying, you mentioned working for a Career Team, and a lot of people don't quite understand Career Team as it applies to the board. So would one of you all care to, you work for a Career Team, but how does that work exactly?
Yeah, great question. First of all, thanks everybody. Thank you, Leslie, for the invitation. I was looking through all the people that were on the meeting, and I feel like we've worked with all of you, or at least most of you in some capacity. So I'm really pleased to see all these great faces, and I'm really just touching on what we do more specifically so that we can make it more clear. So if we can help you in any capacity in the future, we make sure to make that happen. To the question, so yeah, very confusing. Oftentimes people wonder, who do you work for? Why are you in our office? All of those sorts of things. And we have to explain it all the time. But basically, the most basic explanation would be that Career Team, who we work for, is the direct service provider to the South Central Workforce Development Board. Basically, Career Team is a private organization that does workforce development operations, specifically for Title I WIOA, which would be Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. And we're responsible for taking federal funding, helping individuals who have barriers to entry for the workforce, providing training opportunities through WEX, OJT. We'll touch on that hopefully later. And then also trying to help them find a job. So that's the basic explanation. I hope I did that well. I know Bianca's really an expert on it. So, well, thank you. She's here to just hype me up.
Yes. She's your wingman. Absolutely. Yeah. No, very, very good. Very good explanation. I can tell you probably said that a few times before. So questions from the group. Any questions as far as how Jake and Bianca work with the board? Okay, as Jake said, he said that, he's worked with the majority of you guys before, but again, I always think it's good just to clarify, because, sometimes people do, like, I don't really understand how this works, so it's good to throw it out there. So, business services specifically, you mentioned that you're the direct service provider. What, beyond job fairs, again, just slowing it down a little bit, what are a few of the things for employers that you specifically can do? I think you touched on it briefly, but just, if you had a list of things, what things do you do for employers?
Okay, so our main job is just to connect the job seekers with employers to help them fill their open positions. So as an employer, when we first meet them, we kind of conduct a needs assessment and just kind of see what they're needing, and we just try to meet those needs. Like you had mentioned, we have job fairs. Another way where we try to connect, we have OJT, which is on the job training. So if an employer agrees to hire one of our participants, then we can reimburse that employer back 50% of their wages. So that helps employers skill people and be able to find quality candidates. Another thing, we have internships, which we call our work experience. So that's another way that we connect with employers, and that just kind of gives our participants a chance to learn new skill sets and help out employers as well. And then, of course, job fairs. We try to go around and host a job fair in each county. We are switching that up a little bit this year, so we're pretty excited about the new face-to-face job fairs that we're going to have coming up in March. So did I touch on everything?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
I'm also her wingman.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Very good. You all work well together. All right. So business services, you guys do a lot, and our primary focus today will be talking about job fairs. And we will come back to some of those other services at the end as well. So job fairs specifically, I'm going to throw this out to the group initially. What are some, and you don't have to write this down, you know, feel free if you'd like, but what are some of the positives and negatives that go along with job fairs that you all see as partners? And I'm just talking about job fairs in general. What are the things that you like about them? And then what are some of the frustrations that you see with job fairs? And we're not calling out any specific job fair, just in general. We're not out to throw people under the bus.
Well, it's Amy from Butler.
Right.
I have more positives than negatives. First, Jake and Bianca are fabulous to work with. I enjoy working with them at each job fair. They do a great job. And they're happy.
You are too, Amy.
Thank you. The positives I see are, I mean, when we first started the job fair here in Butler County, we usually have it the end of April, first week of May. And we started out with maybe, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you all, maybe 20 something. And then the second time my goal was 30 something. And then the next time my goal was 40. And we reached I think it was 41, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And so I think once people know that, okay, it's April, it's the end of April, 1st of May. Oh, we had that job fair last year. I think people are starting to buy into, once you start doing something every month, that, or people get used to saying, okay, it's April, job fair month or something. I think that helps when people know that. And then also it helps our students, our seniors. I'm attached to our tech school, and some of our nursing students were hired on the spot at Signature Health. And that made me feel real good to see our seniors, 3 of them go out with jobs, so they were hired on the spot. So to me, that's the positive. One negative would be, and it's not any of our faults, if the employer or business doesn't show up and you expect them to be there. But overall, I love our job fairs, and I can't wait to do another one.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very
Yes,
good.
we will be in touch soon, Amy, about Butler County. So.
Yes, very good. Butler County always has a tremendous turnout, and Amy is a gigantic part of that. Gigantic.
Yeah, community partners are definitely important on helping us connect the job seekers with the employers. So thank you, Amy.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Very, very good input. All right, somebody else.
Hey, this is Adam over at the International Center.
All right,
And
Adam, let's hear it.
before I took this position at the International Center, I did workforce development for folks at Life Skills with mental health and substance use issues. So I can kind of give my experience from that background as well as the background that I have right now with our population. I think the positives are we always have a lot of employers brought into the fold. So it seems like every job fair, I'm seeing more and more diversity when it comes to employers. So we have people coming out of the woodwork wanting to participate in that. And I think that's probably the most positive thing to see is that we have more and more employers around the area that are wanting to get involved in our job fairs. And I think that that's really great because there are folks that we might not even have heard of of or we have heard of but haven't had a lot of interactions or experiences with. It's always good to see those. I think the negative that I would say that I see the most of is just that like the clients that I've worked with have become disappointed in some of these employers are coming to the job fairs, but they're not actually hiring folks. And that's what I see with the general population that I've worked with before, and also the new American population, right? So we have people who say, hey, I want someone who speaks English, and I want them to be able to have transportation. I want them to be able to do this, this, and that. And we give them those candidates, and it still isn't enough. It still isn't something. And so, you know, I have people who have to get childcare to come to a job fair. I have people who have to find a way to the job fair. I have people who really just want to work, and it's their last hope to get a job, and they're excited about the fact. And if I have, you know, 10 employers at a job fair and nobody gets a call back except one person, and I've sent 70 to 100 people there, it just seems kind of disappointing. So I think just not having the employer engagement, I think it's okay to show up and say hello to everybody, but you're giving an expectation that you're looking for people to bring onto your workforce. And I don't know if that expectation is necessarily always being met. And I think it's just really disappointing because I know we don't like to have our time wasted. And I think we forget sometimes that these clients are the same way. They want to be able to put their time towards something that they know is going to give them an outcome, or at least have the opportunity to have a good outcome for them.
Oh, excellent, excellent points, excellent points. And I think one of the strongest points you made, Adam, and sincerely, you know, excellent, excellent interaction there. The idea that employers would come to an event and not be hiring. So Jake, Bianca, could one of you all speak to that? A lot of people may be surprised. Oh, you know, you'll have employers sign up that aren't even hiring. So does that
Yeah.
happen?
Oh, it happens all the time. Adam clearly feels the pain that we feel because we have that happen regularly. And that's one thing hopefully we'll touch on in the meeting, just how we're going to try to change up these job fairs to make them more beneficial to the job seeker, because that's really who we care about. We work in business services. We work for businesses. We want businesses to hire people and fill their workforce. But ultimately, when it comes to job fairs, we really care about the job seeker and their experience. Because if I can boil it down into one sentence, it's really about seizing the moment. The job seeker takes time out of their day, 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, oftentimes brings resumes to the job fair. They're going around to all these different companies and they clearly need a job. They oftentimes talk to Bianca and I, and they talk about the difficulties that they're in, which is why they showed up that day. And then you talk to companies and you say, hey, what about John Smith? How did that event or how did that interaction go? And they're saying, oh, well, we gave him a flyer to go online and to fill out an application. And so for us, it's like, how are we going to really drive job fairs and businesses to say, hey, no, we're not going to give him the flyer to go home. He's right in front of us. We're going to have this interaction now. And so that's really what these face-to-face job fairs are about. We're going to try to really consolidate job fairs. We're going to try to do some different things like bring computers to help people fill out applications on site. But yeah, everybody is right about those things. I mean, the business oftentimes can be sometimes a barrier, but it's also important for Bianca and I to bring the right companies who are hiring people immediately and creating the right environment in terms of location, in terms of, just the right people.
Right. And, you know, I think that we all understand there are lots of bigger employers, and they may have staff that are required to attend. Oh, hey, you need to attend so many job fairs per quarter or whatever. And we understand that and we get that. That's part of the job. But I think that that's sort of what we're touching on. We understand that, but our goal is to get people hired. And so when people come to an event and an employer is there, but is not necessarily hiring, they see it more as a, hey, we want to keep our name out there, that kind of thing. It is disappointing for a job seeker. My goodness, if I come to an event because X employer is going to be there, and I've gotten somebody to watch my kids. I'm excited. I'm dressed up. I come in with my resume. I'm looking for work. I need to work. I really want to work for you. And that employer says, thank you. We're not hiring right now, but good to see you. Oh my goodness. I mean,
I've been in this business for a long time, and I've participated in many, many, many job fairs. And just to add on to what Adam and Jake were saying, we provide a space. We provide, we know employers. We invite employers to come in. We know that they're hiring, but the biggest challenge is, the people come, they see the employers, but the employers don't come back and say, okay, who did you hire? That's what we wanted to know. And in our business, it's all about numbers and everything, but it's nice to know that, the employer showed up, they looked at the people, but come back to us and tell us, did you hire them or not? And again, that is the biggest challenge, is for employers to come back to us and say, okay, of all the people we gave you, who among those did you actually hire to fill the positions that you are looking for?
I would also, can y'all hear me? I would
Yes,
also,
yes.
yes, yeah, I would say that as well. Another piece of that is that if you didn't hire these candidates, why? If there's 70 people that you can't tell me that out of 70 to 100 people that walk through that door, not everybody is a perfect product, but at the same time, we know this, but at the same time, why didn't you hire us? And then and then you got to walk that fine line, because you want them to come back. You want them to participate there in this community. And I understand that when you're like, hey, are you really hiring somebody? Or are you just showing up to be seen because you want to be, but at the end of the day, for people you serve, they need an end result. And if they're not getting that end result, we should, be told why. So if the employers can tell you why, if they can't tell you why, then they really wasn't hiring. They really wasn't hiring, and we know that. We hire people. But I think that would be a good piece of feedback, because if we're not getting feedback, then you're not eating. All right.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Can I
Are
just
the
add something to that
employers?
real quick? I would just wanted to add that I worked in HR for a couple of years. So I've been on the other side of that, where the human resources individual is having to do their part as well. And I will tell you that the best thing that happened when I worked for HR is that when I went to job fairs as a recruiter, I worked as specifically a recruiter, so I went to many job fairs, is that my HR leader told me I have to help them with applications on site. That it wasn't the responsibility of other people to put the applications in for them, that I'm recruiting them, and that I am expected to do the applications on site or help people with applications on site. And I think sometimes when you're divorced from that process and you're not the person spending 20 to 30 minutes with each applicant putting in the application, and you do that back work like a lot of us do before they get to those jobs or those job fairs, and you're doing 50 people's applications at 20 to 30 minutes per person, you're divorced from that process. You don't have any kind of skin in that game. But I think when you're there and you're on site and you're putting those applications in with folks at these job fairs, you're a little bit more invested because you spent 20 minutes doing the application with somebody just like somebody else did. So it becomes a little bit more like, hey, if I'm going to help you put an application in, I'm going to look at it. Someone's going to look at it because I had to spend my time doing those things. I just wanted to add that little part in from my experience as someone who worked HR before.
Yes,
I have
very
a
good.
comment.
Yes, go
What
ahead,
is
Lonnie.
what is the application criteria for an employer to be at the job fair? Are they being interviewed? what are we asking for of them? Do we know how many positions they have available? So we're providing the candidates and they're being interviewed. Who's interviewing the company to make sure that they're a qualified company that we want available?
Right.
Just
And
curious to know what is the criteria for that.
yes, and I think that that's an excellent point. And that was part of our discussion last week as well. And I mean, thank you all for the feedback. I feel like we're getting very good discussion this morning. And that's wonderful. The old high school teacher in me is like, discussion, interaction is great. Jake, Bianca, do you all want to speak to that? Do you want me to speak to that?
To answer your question, as far as the ones that Jake and I do, like the Talent Tuesdays, we really didn't have the application. Now, I know that sometimes for the New American one that Brian then would come up with one, but for our Talent Tuesdays, we actually didn't. It was more so of just like an invite. They would tell us that they're hiring and we kind of just went with it. So like Leslie said, that is something that we do want to change to try to get better, because maybe that is that missing piece. Maybe we were trusting the employers, just thinking that you were going to have openings, but maybe we do need to, engage that piece a little bit more.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback on that. Yeah, obviously that's one of the things we want to touch on about how we're going to change this year, because in the past, many of you know this, we used to do 10 job fairs a year going to each of the different counties. And all of us in South Central realize that there are some really populated counties, and there's some counties that have a much lower population, much more rural, obviously. So when you're going to Metcalfe County, you're going to Monroe County, you're going to Edmonson County, the difficulty is even getting employers to come to the event at all. So our goal was to say, hey, for these job seekers, we want to connect them to businesses that are closer to where they live. And hopefully they are hiring, and that was always the goal, and that's what we usually heard. And like I said, it usually turns into, oh, well, we're not hiring now, even though we told you we were 2 months ago. But the goal for us last time was to connect local job seekers to local companies. We're obviously going to switch that up a little bit this year to make it more valuable to the community. But yeah, you're right. That's one big thing we need to do better, is really figure out what is the intake of this company and how are they going to be valuable to the job fair, specifically to the job seeker.
And sometimes, to finish that off, sometimes it is a challenge because we might send out the invite a month or 2 months ahead. So they may have had openings when that initial invite went out that they wanted to come. And then it's like that day comes and then there isn't any openings. So then sometimes you'll hear that people are just doing it to keep them on file because of the turnover rate. So it has been a challenge with, trying to do that, because you can send out invites and employers have openings one day and then the next day they don't. So.
Right. Very good.
What you said is very accurate. Like, it took me a while to catch on to that, because I'd be like, well, why are you even here if you don't have openings? But then I realized, like, well, they signed up 2 months ago and they did have openings. And so I guess it's still good that they're there so we could have that interaction, but it's just misleading. But from their perspective, like, they're not going to hold openings waiting for this.
Right.
They need to fill them anyway. So as soon as they got them, they're going to fill them. So I don't know, it's just complicated, but well said.
It is.
Is there a referral process? And I'm sure there is, because you guys are all on this, but like, I'm just thinking about this. If you contacted somebody 2 months ago and invited them to the job fair, they hadn't opening opportunities then, are we being informed of the opening opportunities at that time? Like, okay, I contacted, company A. Right now they have 5 openings. Let's get it out to the partners and see who has potential employees. Company B only has 2. So that way, when they let you know at that moment, when you send out the invite that they did have openings, are partners being informed of those openings? And I'm just curious.
Yeah, right. I mean, right now we don't have any type of job board or anything, we don't have anything like that in place. I think that, that's an excellent idea. Frank, occasionally we'll send out these places are hiring, but there's no one home base where, where partners can go and see who's hiring immediately. Things like that are fantastic in theory. I think we all know that. As far as upkeep, it's very, that would be a full-time job. We've had businesses attempt to do that. And it's tremendously difficult to maintain. And one of the reasons, at least in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, one of the reasons is that HR staff, there is so much turnover. You have HR going from company to company to company to company, and we know all the faces, but the locations keep changing. So I would love if there was a real-time place where we could keep all this information. But the reality is it's tremendously difficult to keep that. And that's one of the primary reasons why we are looking to job fairs, hiring events, and to doing the events a little bit differently. And our meeting last week, what the point I brought up is I would really like us to have no BS job fairs. That's what I call them. And obviously we can't call them that to the general public. I mean, I guess we could, maybe we'd go viral. But we opted for face-to-face rather than the other name. But the idea is the same. The idea is let's have employers fill out something at the very beginning that shows these are the positions I anticipate having. Yes, I am hiring, all of that. So we have an employer application for these events. And I guess I should backtrack a little bit. The face-to-face hiring events are different from Talent Tuesdays in that we're going to be grouping counties. And Jake sort of spoke to that a little bit, the reason why. Some of the smaller counties, it's hard to get employers. It's hard, they may have just a few employers in that county. And by grouping the counties, you increase the likelihood for employers attending and employers attending who are hiring. And that's really what we're striving to achieve with this kind of approach. I think in the past, we're searching for employers. Hey, we need as many employers as we can get. We are trying to be more intentional and more selective and more deliberate in our approach, because we recognize, the things that you guys are saying. And, Adam, you had some incredible points, and I think we all agree. We all feel that same pain of we want job seekers to attend these events and we want outcomes. We want people to get hired. We've all felt the frustration of, so many people say nobody wants to work anymore. And it just, that phrase gives me fits, because we know people want to work. We see people who want to work. We have people who want to work. So it's about connecting the employers who are actively hiring. I'm going to be walking in with jobs and communicating to them the necessity of interacting with people while they're there. That's where the face-to-face name came from. You will have people attending. And we know there are online applications. One of the things that we're doing with the new employer application is we are asking them, put a link to your application so people can do that ahead of time. We don't want people to come to the event and then have to go home and fill out an application. Let's go ahead and do that ahead of time. So we're trying to, with the new, and I'm going to make it myself a note to send a link to the employer application so you all can see that. But we're trying to get people to do that before they come so that when they're there, they can actually interview with these companies. So and I hope I'm not stealing your all's thunder, Jake and Bianca, but the idea behind this kind of approach, it's a lot of the same setup, but more of a direct communication to employers. This is the reality. We need you, if you come, we need you to do exactly what you said, Heath. Help people while they're there. Take advantage of the time you have to speak to these people, to actually, find out if they could be a good candidate. So I've been talking a lot. I'm going to throw it out back to the crowd.
Well,
Really quickly, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say,
You're rambunctious. We know. So no, go ahead.
yes,
Go ahead.
ma'am.
I'm just messing with you.
I would just say that there's a blind spot that's here that, and I'm sure every one of you guys see it, and it's hard. It's almost impossible to overcome. And that's the fact that there's going to be a lot of times, and because most of us got our job because somebody told us about this job we're in. So there's a blind spot to where employers may already have somebody in mind, whether it's a cousin, a nephew, a son, a daughter, brother-in-law, son-in-law, whatever. And so, because I have been told one other time, called HR. Actually, the person was working there, an acquaintance I didn't know worked there, and said, "Oh, hey, Rhett, probably don't put in for this. We've already got somebody in mind." I was like, "Oh, okay," and it hadn't been out there long. So that is a challenge in itself, that a lot of times employers will say, "We're going to hire 4 people." And somebody says, "Hey, I know so-and-so who works here, whose son or daughter, whatever." So that is an obstacle right there, or a barrier that's out there. So, and every single employer has that, because you always, and that's just, I don't know how you overcome that. And because probably in our own industries where we're working, it happens, so because you're always looking, if you ever hired anybody or worked in that position, you always have names in your drawer. It's because somebody walks out or quits or whatever, you need to fill that position. So I'll just threw that out there and just wonder what anybody thought about that. Am I like shooting in the dark, or is that, everybody pretty much says, yeah, it's probably something going on as well?
No, I think that is a very common occurrence, and I think that every employer does have that. I don't think that there's any way to overcome that. So what I do is, when I am working with people, one of the first things that I do is try to encourage them not to get discouraged by that. I try to bring that up and let them know right out in front that these things do happen, that many times these positions are already filled, and the best that I can do is try to keep them from getting discouraged by that.
Leslie, I did want to back up for 2 seconds, because like all of these comments, all of these questions, these are the things that we wrestle with every day, Bianca and I. And many of you know, we even have a Monday morning meeting where we all gather together, many of us on this call from the workforce board, to try to tackle many of these problems and to work with one another to tell each other about, hey, these are the openings and how are we going to help this company. But for us, Bianca and I try to create systems that are a little bulletproof, I guess you would say, from the perspective that, this is morbid, but I mean, if Bianca and I were hit by a bus one day, how are we going to continue this work on? Like the next day, how will that continue? And some of those things require us to create systems that the next person can take on. So, for example, creating a business service menu was something we did about 1.5 years ago. And it was really to help employers who, whether there be turnover in their office or turnover in our office, they still know the programs and things that exist that we can offer them. It also required us to create a common email. sckbst.com was the email that we created to try to let employers know, whether Bianca and I don't exist anymore and they get a bounce back, they can still go to that email. So these are all systems that we're creating that are a little bulletproof. So some of the questions that were being asked, how are we doing those things? Those are the things we wrestle with too, and they're so valid, those questions. But creating those systems are really important for us, and we're trying to make them work. And that's part of why Leslie invited us on to talk a little bit more about some of the things we're doing in 2025 to enhance those and drive those further. And all of you are an important part of that work, and we need your help in that.
I'm sure it ain't easy, man. I'm sure it can be difficult. Yeah, we appreciate you. I can hear it in your voice. We're doing all right. You keep
Every
up the
day,
good
that's how I
fight,
feel.
brother.
Thank you.
And I want to emphasize this, we are dealing with a lot of the very same issues. So, the newest event that we have developed, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen if I can. Okay, can you guys see that? Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. Very good. Very good. Some of the things that we're doing with this newest job fair, and I'm showing two there, but let's start with the face-to-face, which is on the left of your screen. This is what we're trying now. The one of the latest efforts, and you can look at the language on this flyer, and it's again more of a direct approach with employers. This is the employer flyer that we currently have. So this face-to-face job fair regional hiring event for employers in Warren, Allen, Butler, Edmondson, and Logan. We're opening it up to employers in all of those counties because we do want to serve job seekers in those counties, and we also want to serve employers in those counties. So this will be Tuesday, March 18th at the Nicely Conference Center. And that is the same building that the board office is housed in, but we've got a really, really good location for this event. It's a little bit further down. It's at the very end of the Nicely Conference Center, and we'll have signage and all that to communicate that. But it's a big area, a very nice area for employers and job seekers. So if you'll read along with me, meet motivated job seekers ready to work now and fill your open positions on the spot, ditch the paperwork and engage in meaningful interactions that lead to immediate hires. Join us and get back to what hiring should be: personal, efficient, and effective. So we're trying from the get-go to communicate to employers. This is an event that will stress interacting with people while they're on site. The application, and if you scan the QR code with your phone, don't do it now because we're all talking. But if you scan the QR code with your phone, it goes to the employer application, and they have an area where they can put a link to their job openings. So we will have a page on a link on the Facebook event, which I'll be setting up after I get some antibiotics today. But a page for job seekers and employers where, hey, these are the employers that will be attending the event. Here's a link to their job openings so people can fill those out in advance. Because at this event itself, the emphasis will be, okay, when job seekers come in, we want to get them face to face with employers. If they haven't yet filled out an online application, Bianca, what will we have for them at this event?
So now Jake and I will be bringing Chromebooks to be able to assist people with completing those applications before they walk out.
Yes. So that's one of the things that we discussed. If employers require, or if employers are going to say, fill out an application, then we will have laptops on site. So individuals can do that, and we will make sure if employers aren't able to help those individuals directly themselves at the event, we will have staff that can do that. So that way, that's one thing. All right, if that's a requirement, then we're taking care of that. And it's just like what Jake said, we know what some of the biggest barriers for these events are, and we're trying to eliminate those. What are some ways we can do that? Well, we can go ahead and have a link to the online applications, associated with the event itself. So when job seekers click on the link on Facebook, it goes to, here are the employers attending. So they can see it's this employer and here's a link to their application. If they show up the day of the event and, they're just looking for employers, then we have laptops there and we will have people there to help them fill out applications. So again, we're trying to knock out those things from the get-go. The communication with employers will be, this is an opportunity to speak to people, to interview people. We want human interaction. We want to see results. We want to see people getting hired. And we know the reality of people getting hired on the spot. I mean, it's easier said than done, but that's our goal. If there is something where you can at least get a second interview set up, and associated with the employer application is getting their information so we can then follow up and say, who was hired? Have you talked to this person? So that is the approach that we're taking with this event. It will be in Bowling Green, but it will be open to employers outside of Warren County as well, the ones that we have listed. Jake, Bianca, am I leaving anything out?
No, great job. And first of all, these flyers are amazing. They look really good. And so I think that's a huge piece. The marketing is amazing for these events. So we really appreciate it, Leslie. And I'll just make clear, this is the first event of the year. So we plan to do 3 additional events after this in some of the other counties to touch all 10 counties that we deal with. So we're trying to make it to where these job fairs are both regular in nature, but also a little more, I hate to use this word, but exclusive, because like I said, we were doing 10 of them a year. They were getting a little watered down. The same companies were showing up. Many of even the same job seekers were showing up because they weren't getting results. So these job fairs are really designed to be a little bigger, a little more fresh. We're going to try to invite lots of our focus populations to these rather than just the general community. We're going to try to make some of the high school seniors show up to these events by working with the schools. We're obviously going to be working with new Americans, veterans, all sorts of populations to try to make these a really big hit. And the first one obviously is in Warren, and then we'll move on to other counties that are huge like Butler County and Amy. So we really need your help. We would love your help in promoting these, but also please reach out to Bianca and I. If you have individuals who are super interested in trying to find jobs, this can be a great place to make that happen. And Bianca and I will treat them like a VIP and make sure they get success.
Very good, thank you. And I also put the flyer up for the upcoming Ready, Set, Hire event for high school seniors. That's another hiring event that's coming up. So I wanted to include that as well. Again, both of these, the idea is, and there's not a whole lot now because we don't have employers yet. But the idea is there will be a landing page for the event. And I will have a link to that on Facebook so that people can see these are the employers scheduled to attend. And one of the things that Amy Thomas touched on at the beginning that we know is a frustration as employers that are scheduled to attend but wind up not attending. Again, we will be trying to really ensure that these employers do attend, and we know things can come up, and all that, but the idea is a much more direct approach with employers, clear communication so that we can wind up having the best event possible. So, you all are getting to see the preview there of the face-to-face flyer that's going out to employers. There will be an application associated with it, and then that will generate a profile, a landing page for job seekers to see. So anything else I may be leaving out, guys?
I don't think so. But,
Okay.
we really appreciate Leslie being invited on to try to talk about this. Obviously, community partners are a huge piece of what we do. We really value all of your work, and we need your help. Just like, this is a community, this is a team, and we don't have all the answers. So we really appreciate your guys' feedback. And hopefully this is to a big, big, big year.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So we know we can't, turn job fairs around in one event. But we know what a lot of the struggles are. You all share in our struggles, and we're trying to address them as much as we can. There are always things that just like it was mentioned earlier with, someone may have a particular individual already in mind to hire for a spot. We can't do anything about that. But we can be as selective as possible, try to ensure companies are coming with open jobs, make it as easy as possible on the job seeker, encourage people to communicate with job seekers in front of them while they have them. That's a huge thing. Let's get conversations and at least initial interviews started while you have someone in front of you. All right, very, very good, very good. All right, so switching gears a little bit, is there anything that any of our partners have coming up that you would like to share? Anything that you have with your organization that you want to share with the group?
Leslie, Passport will be hosting another expungement clinic on April 22nd, and I'll be sending that flyer out this week.
Oh, good, good. And if you send that to Frank, he can share it. He can share it with everyone on the partner team, and that's always good to remind people. If you have anything that you do want to share, if you send that to Frank, he will then share it with the group. He is the keeper of the email list. Oh, and I just noticed a typo. Like, okay. I probably shouldn't have pointed that out, but there's a misspelled word. Anything else? Anyone else have anything they would like to share?
I would like to share that we are doing the VITA tax program again this year. This is our 17th year to provide that service to people. It is not limited to Logan County. There's information on our web page, and they can even turn in a lot of their information through a customer portal, through the software we get from the IRS. And
wow,
it's a really good program. There's lots of information on our web page about that and on our Facebook page.
Very good. And if you don't know, Denise is with Logan County Good Samaritan. And yes, incredible work that they do. I know tax season is incredibly busy for you guys.
Yes.
So huge.
And if anybody wants to volunteer, we have remote work from home. So on
Very
that
good.
program. So
Denise, is that income based or does anyone?
it's sort of income based. It says that the income is 67,000 and that's our target group, but we will accept those who are above that a little. So
Okay, thank you. So you
now we cannot do farm or rental income. Those are the only two things we really cannot do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Denise. All right, well, we are coming up at 10:30. I think it's 10:30 on the dot. Preview for next month. Brittany Hippler will be the guest, and I hope you all like this format where it's more conversational rather than a presentation. I get a lot more out of it if it's more of a conversation. So hopefully you all enjoy this. Brittany Hippler,
Leslie, can I say something really quickly? I apologize, but this is really important because Denise, we are doing a couple of rapid response events in the next couple of months. One with Shop HQ, one with Bando USA. It's going to affect about 150 to 200 workers. We do partner events for those workers. We would love to invite you, if at all possible, to that event to work with some of these folks. They may be interested in the offerings that you just talked about with work from home and various things like that. Because many of these people, they're going to lose their job within the end of March, I think. So that might be a good opportunity for a turnaround.
Well, the only thing with the VITA program is it's all volunteers. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But still, with those events, I mean, and that's something that you can share with Frank, so he lets partners know. It is about helping people know services that are out there as well.
And I have seen many families that pay anywhere from $250 to $500 a year to get their taxes done.
Yep.
When they can get that service for free and use that money for something else, especially if they're already struggling. So
yes, excellent point. Excellent point. All right. Well, again, thank you, Jake Brown and Bianca Wilson. Very good discussion, very insightful. Hopefully everyone got something out of today's meeting. Next month we'll have Brittany Hippler. And thank you all for being with us. I will be sending out some information on our face-to-face job fair later today or tomorrow. So be looking for an email from Frank so he can get that information to everyone. But thank you all for joining us. I appreciate it tremendously. Thank you to Jake and Bianca for being so informative and lovely. Thank you all for spending part of your busy day with us, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon. All right, thanks guys.
Thank you guys.
Hi, everybody. Thanks.
Bye-bye.